So we know that early on in the development of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, more of the directors were directly involved with everything going on, considering they kind of had to play nice with each other to understand where each piece of media would lead so they can all meet up in Avengers Infinity War. Now, as it turns out, we just recently found out that James Gunn was actually unaware of one of the Guardians' deaths, as he was still working on the script for the third film. So we know early on when they started working on Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, it was right around the time where Civil War started to actually become a concept, and they figured, well, we're going to start working on what happens after this because this is all leading towards that. At this time, we knew James Gunn was working on stuff. We knew that Spider-Man was coming out, Black Panther was coming, Captain Marvel was in the cards. At that point, Inhumans was still part of this slate and they were working on it. So things were a little bit different, yet things were somewhat going in the same direction. So when it came to figuring out what pieces were going to be parts of the different films to lead all into it, many assumed that, James Gunn, who was a producer on the two Avengers films and who was there, was kind of being kept up to date with what's happening, except that's not true. We recently learned that James Gunn actually had to have a phone call from Kevin Feige, who told him that Gamora was going to die in the Avengers films that were coming out, and that this would effectively change how he approaches Guardians 3, so he would have to come up with, obviously, a different take on it. Now, this is somewhat in contrast to what was happening with Marvel Studios during that Phase 2 to 3, but things started to change when they realized that the story for Avengers Infinity War and Infinity War Part 2 were changing right in front of their eyes because they kept coming up with new ideas. And ultimately, when they decided, we need a sacrifice and we need this and we need that, and she's the daughter and Thanos would sacrifice her, this had to change the fundamental future of what they were planning. So James Gunn then was told, well, you have Gamora, but you don't have that Gamora. So obviously, it'll be interesting to see if this has any effect on what Guardians 3 is, considering we've known pretty much since Guardians 2 that 3 would be a film that focuses more on Rocket Raccoon, but the other characters are also there, obviously. So I'm interested to see how they kind of go around this, and if there will be this weird jarring effect because of whatever stuff was written for Gamora. Did they just dump it on the new version, which is technically the old version of the character, or did they just go, we'll figure it out? I mean, hopefully it's better than Part 2, that's all I'm saying. Oh no, here comes the Guardians 2 Brigade.